Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Down, face down. You know the routine.
Hey, my name is Satie Gossett. Welcome to another episode of Pan and Zoom, where filmmakers talk about filmmaking. Today I have my wonderful guest, Naomi Grossman, Emmy-nominated actress, improvist, producer, writer, check all the boxes, and she's going to spend some time with us and tell us her upbringing, her inspirations, and her aspirations. Hello, Naomi.
Hello.
It is awesome. It is an honor to have you here with us on Pan and Zoom, just to chop it up and break some bread and find out what makes you tick and let's hear about your journey.
Cool.
Yeah. So, this is our third show, and not to toot your horn, but you're kind of the first person we've had here that has a little luster.
Oh.
Luster. Because of American Horror Story and obviously Pepper, but I wanted to start from the beginning because, with Pan and Zoom, we just want to know what makes artists tick, how they operate, what are the techniques they use to operate, and not only goes for actors, but writers, producers, editors. We had a storyboard guy, and we want to hear your origin story.
Okay.
So start from the beginning, tell us where you came from, what was that first moment that said, hey, I got to do showbiz or be in the arts?
Well, it was the coldest day of the year in Denver, Colorado, in 1975. I came out of the womb with jazz hands. Essentially, I was like always a performer, always. From as early as I can remember, I was performing. It might have been just for the squirrels and chipmunks that were, outside our deck, but I was, always on. Definitely like a performer on the Enneagram. I was no child star. Like, I'm not like Drew Barrymore or anything, but I definitely got involved very early on doing pretty much anything that came out of Colorado, which was, regional commercials, Father Dowling Mysteries, not much. But I was definitely, nowadays with Facebook, we know what our, first grade crush had for breakfast. But even without Mark Zuckerberg, people, if you ask my high school, where is Naomi Grossman today? They would say she's on some stage. She's in front of some camera, like always. If you really want the exact origin of when it all began, I remember being in the movie theater for the first time.
You remember the first movie that you saw where you're like, oh, that's it?
The first movie I ever saw was Hair.
Oh, wow.
Which is a really odd choice.
And how old were you?
Because, it's like full frontal nudity. I was probably, I don't know, definitely too young for it. But my parents were kind of,
But it was the 70s.
Yes. And they were first Peace Corps volunteers, you know what I mean? Like, they were kind of hippie people, so whatever. But I remember watching specifically Fantasia.
Okay.
And just, dancing in the aisles with the hippos. Like, you just couldn't contain me. And I just wanted to be up there. I didn't want to be sitting down. I didn't want to be in the audience. I wanted to be on the stage. I want to be on the screen. And so, ever since then, I remember even just being in first grade, like writing out what am I going to be when I grow up. And I said actress. And if not, my plan B was astronaut.
Okay. That was mine too.
Was it?
But I had classes, so that kind of killed the dream.
Well, and I found out they had to do math.
That too.
So yeah, that was like, no. So after that, like plan B, there was no plan B. which is always my kind of advice to young aspiring actors is like, if you have a plan B, do that, because that's infinitely more fulfilling.
It's funny you say that, because like I saw an interview with like Eddie Murphy, and he was like, you should always have a plan A. Forget your plan B, because if you have plan B, that's going to take the energy away from your plan A. You kind of got to operate like without a parachute in a sense. It's like, I got to make it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to do something else, I'd be like, I don't know, on Cirque du Soleil, or like a contortionist, or an acrobat, or maybe like a cheerleader for one of those like Texas community colleges, like on what's that show, Cheer. That's my plan B. Like, that's not realistic. Like, that's never going to happen for me. I'm twice as old as those girls. But that's if this doesn't work out, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting a time machine, and I'm going to Texas to be thrown around.
Friday Night Lights. Yes. Yeah. Well, fortunately, it is working out for you. But you said you took regional acting classes in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then when you came out to LA, did you take acting classes out here?
Oh, yeah.
Because I noticed that you studied with the Groundlings.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
All the questions all at once. Well, in between, yes, I studied in Denver. And then between then, I went to college at Northwestern and was a theater major there. You know what? No, it was a great place for me, I'll be honest. I was, it would have been greater with you there. But no, actually, interestingly, Groundlings was like Northwestern. It was like a funny Northwestern. It was like where, and I don't want you to take offense, because I know you didn't go there, but.
Too late.
No, I'm just saying, like, it was where, Northwestern was where all the top kids of their class all came together to be really awesome and competitive and inspiring. And, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And the weakest links didn't get in. I'm just kidding. Oh. No. But it was, but Groundlings was very similar in that, don't get me wrong. It was competitive. Like, you didn't want your fellow performers to be too hilarious, because then, like, you didn't look so funny.
Right.
Yeah. But you needed them to be hilarious. You're all bringing each other up. So, I wish to God that they'd make a reality show about that place, because, let me tell you, it's Big Brother.
that might be something to shelf.
It won't ever happen. They won't let that happen.
Like a Survivor version of the improv class.
It was Survivor, I swear. And I stayed on that island as long as you possibly could.
Okay.
So I have to be very proud of that. And besides, let's face it, it's no offense, again, I'm just offending everybody here, but it's no offense to the people that did become Groundlings, but the people that actually got cut, they got kicked off the island.
Yeah.
They're
all agents now. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, they're all like, I don't know, Adam Carolla, Conan O'Brien. The list of people that were, let go is far more impressive than those who ever stayed.
That's amazing. And so, through that work of learning improvisation, how did that inform you as an actress?
Oh, wow. In every way.
Okay.
Let's face it, Pepper, that, the role I'm most known for, is, I don't see. They taught you something at Syracuse.
Yeah.
That role, let's face it, was not, she's not exactly verbal. Like, I grunted a few times each episode until I really, came back from my alien invasion and spoke lucidly. So, but the point is, so much of what I was doing was nonverbal and improvisatory. So,
can you talk about the process of getting that role? Was it just a straight audition that you booked? Your agent said, "Hey, we want you to try out for this," or?
Yeah, well, it's in the show. I do talk about this in my new woman show, which I'll tell you about later. But basically, yeah, I got an audition from my agent at the time, who, I called one of our mutual friends to fill me in on, what's this show about? And of course, he told me all about the murder house, which didn't help at all. But at least I had an idea of kind of the tone of the show. I was to do a monologue of Jessica Lange's from season 1, which of course didn't make a whole lot of sense because they'd already shot that.
Right.
But then they also gave me a ball and they asked me to get them to play with them as if I were a 4-year-old. And again, none of this made any sense to me. Now, in retrospect, we understand they just wanted to see that I had range, that I could go from the early, playful Pepper to the later evolved Pepper. But, for all we know, it wasn't even scripted yet. You know what I mean? Like they only write about 5 episodes ahead of their viewing audience. So for all we know, they had the Bible, the
Show Bible with the character
they
description.
knew what they wanted to have happen, but it wasn't even written.
Well, it's interesting, like, I don't know how informed they were with the character. Sometimes it'll be like 2 lines. And when they audition people, they don't know what they want until they see it.
Right.
So whatever you brought, it's like, oh, okay.
They were like, well, that girl's real special.
Right, yeah. Let's pencil her in.
Talk about pinheads.
Right?
Nailed it.
Yeah. And, I mean, just full disclosure, we have personal history. We kind of came up in the trenches together, barbecues. Oh, did you do this? You did this? Oh, I did this improv show. And, to see you make it to that level is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
But for you, I rewatched some episodes just to kind of get a refresher. And a lot of people that weren't kind of famous at the time are like huge now.
Yeah.
And like, what was that experience stepping on set with obviously Jessica Lange is obvious, James Cromwell,
Yeah.
Evan Peters, Chloe Sevigny,
Yeah.
just all these heavy hitters, and you're kind of the new kid on the block. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was intimidating, obviously. I definitely felt like I didn't belong. Like they somehow I snuck in, and I don't know how I managed to crash this, all-star game, and here I am in the dugout. But again, that's another kind of lesson for green actors. Like, no, your name is on the call sheet. It's just like Jessica's, just like Evan's, just like everybody else's. So, I definitely, when I was first cast, I assumed I was just like one of an army of pinheads. It didn't occur to me that I was like the pinhead. And for all we know, maybe they didn't even know. Like I got the sense in that initial, day room of the asylum that, they were just kind of throwing a bunch of paint on the canvas, right? And see what sticks.
And Pepper stuck?
She stuck.
Okay. What did you glean? Did you glean anything from those, like Jessica Lange obviously or Sarah Paulson? What did you glean from those actresses?
Oh, man.
Just in terms of crafts, like watching them, how they prepared. Can you give us like a couple examples?
I mean, it was like a masterclass every single day on set. It was just like, I was like, wait, I'm being paid to be here? Like normally I have to pay for acting class.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was just like soaking it all in.
This is like one
osmosis.
big audit, guys. No,
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, Jessica is a geyser. Like she can just turn on the waterworks. Like it's amazing. Whereas, I'm not saying I can't, and I did, but I have to psych myself out. The things that make you cry the first day may be different than the things 8 days later, and so I mean, she was so inspiring.
That's awesome.
All of them.
So, as an actress, how much of the character, and I know you've done like one-woman shows and where you play multiple characters, how much of that is you in each character versus other people in your life? How much do you draw from that experience in order to inform those characters?
That's a good question. Yeah, we all have our own process, and I know since this is all about kind of the process, I would say I definitely work More from the outside in.
Okay.
So I tend to be a very physical actress. And so, especially with a character like Pepper, where she's more unlike me than like me. Unfortunately, she has a heart of gold, and I'm dead inside. No, not true. But, just physically, for example, we're very different, but emotionally, intellectually, in every other way
I hope
as
so.
well. Yeah. I mean, I did get in a Northwestern. Wow. I told you I was dead inside.
Yeah, you just, okay, let's carry
Exhibit
on.
A.
Let's carry on.
All right. No, I was going to say, so I kind of established her physicality first, right? I watched Schlitzie, who was the real life microcephalic after whom Pepper was modeled, kind of figured out her walk and talk and gait and all of that. And then...
did you work with anyone to do that?
I did. No, that part was all me.
Okay.
But
awesome.
then, thank you. Then to do the inside work, the inside job, that I did. I worked with a coach, and we kind of created kind of a backstory for me. It's not nearly as good as the one that, Ryan Murphy and the show created for me, which of course we don't even find out until season 4, 2 seasons later. But, whether or not people know my backstory isn't important. It's important that I know it, right?
Right.
So, yes, I had something behind all the prosthetics, of course.
How long did all that prosthetics take?
That took about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Each day?
Each day.
Wow. So did you just kind of zone out and put on some headphones? Or
Yeah, I lay back, take a nap.
you wake up and there's
Exactly.
Pepper.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you were on there season 2 and season 4.
Yeah,
correct?
I did come back for season 8, but not as Pepper.
You came back as another character.
Another
yes.
character. And then I came back just recently in the spin-off series, American Horror Stories.
Okay.
Also as another character.
So this is a unique opportunity because, you have the show, you have the adulation from the show. How did it change your life?
I mean, in every way.
Okay.
Again, it's in the show, so I'm not trying to spoil anything. No, but that's the thing. So this new one-woman show is it's my history of hustling, which you were hustling with me.
I'm still hustling.
We're still,
The show is
and
a
I'm
hustle.
not done hustling
No, I'm
either,
just
by
kidding.
the way.
The show's not hustling.
So yeah, there it is. But it's the horror is not a promiscuous horror. That was the last show, Carnival Knowledge. This is more of a woman who whores out, who someone who does what she's got to do to get what she wants. And yeah, let's face it, when they said shave your head, I was like, how short? That's what we do. But we do sort of see me pre-Pepper, post-Pepper, becoming Pepper. Can't remember why I went there. You asked a question. And
as far as, just talking about, all the adulation you got, because
how it changed my life.
How it changed your life.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, so, like I said, I kind of take you through the post-Pepper. Don't get me wrong. I still put one leg on at a time. But yeah, in every way, I
like being recognized at CBS.
Being recognized at CBS. And
autograph conventions, how was that?
There you go.
People dressing up as Pepper.
Yes.
And
I went to, I think, 44 Comic-Cons in 52 weeks.
Wow.
The year following Asylum. Or no, Freak Show. So, yeah, there you go. I couldn't teach Spanish anymore because how am I supposed to do that from an airplane? Worst problems to have.
There are worse problems.
Can't make it to my day job. Sorry.
Exactly, but this is kind of your day job now.
Oh well, now it is.
And just as far as career, how did it open up? I guess more opportunities to act and produce. Yeah,
if anything, it was like, don't get me wrong. I still audition, like I said, one leg at a time. But at the same time, yes, I do get direct offers now, which is very nice. And when I do audition, well, nowadays after pandemic we haven't been to a real live casting office in years now. But before that, I go and people would actually look up from their desk. And like, that's a big deal. Like, if anybody who's seen La La Land knows, like, they are often ordering lunch in the middle of your monologue. So the fact that all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, people wanted to meet me. Like, that's nice.
It is, yeah. And they usually order the chopped salad in between auditions, FYI.
Or in the middle of them.
Or in the middle. Do you find that, the role of Pepper kind of hindered your opportunities too, a little bit, as far as the type of roles that you got? Because sometimes people will play such a singular part that's all they're kind of
don't get me wrong. Every now and then I've gotten that. I've gotten, managers or agents or, casting people. Well, what else can she do? It's like, well, I can literally do anything. Like, I could do this, I could do that. Like,
right.
There's a massive spectrum between the two. So I can't really take those people seriously. If you're that myopic that you don't see that there's like a huge range between, Pepper and me.
I find that kind of across the board with those, I don't want to call them representative types, but they only see what you show them. But if they don't see it, they only see what they see.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, you have to show them that you can do X, Y, and then they'll be, oh yeah, I knew it all along. And that goes for writing and directing, like if you're a horror writer, you're kind of stuck in the horror genre.
Yeah.
If you're a comedy writer, so on and so forth. If you play a starlet, they don't see you as like a serious actor.
Well, and I found, I had to shave my head. So just following this, I was, I played, lesbians and neo-Nazis and Holocaust victims. And like, I was like in this category that was very niche and specific. And so, I wasn't going out for a lot of young moms. You know what I mean? Like, mom, now don't get me wrong.
Pepper's a mom. At the PTA meeting.
I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of moms that are just, shaving their head. But technically, I still had the parts to be a mom. It's just, for whatever reason, that's what Hollywood has decided, like, mom looks a certain way, and it's not like a neo-Nazi.
There are neo-Nazi moms.
I'm sure they do. They can breed, yeah.
They can, yeah. They're very kind of different worldview, but there you go.
But then as my hair started to grow, then as I had this sort of like pixie cut, I was all of a sudden like the CEO and the CFO and the boss and the, lawyer, DA, you name it. Now that it's growing a little more, now I'm kind of, I tend to get, it's a little more broad, which sort of scares me because I do think that pre-Pepper, I was also trying to be very just sort of plain, broad. I had this sort of sensible bob my whole life. And I did that specifically so that I wouldn't be pigeonholed in any one look. But I think there's something to be said for that. Like, just like, what do I look like? And right now, I'll be honest, this crazy hair and this, we're all aging, right? I feel like
allegedly.
Now I'm...
Not if you went to Syracuse, you never age.
Oh, see? Had you gone to Northwestern...
See, I need Botox.
There you go. And, yeah. The point is, I'm embracing the fact that I look like I might be on meth living in a box. And that's okay. I mean, like I said, there's a role for that.
There is. No judgment.
And I'm ready for it.
You are. You won an award, IMDb. Top 10 awards, which I think was awesome.
Yeah, that was exciting.
And you also got nominated for an Emmy for Control-Alt-Delete.
Yeah. And
you got to go to the Emmys.
I did.
Which is kind of another you're welcome to the party experience, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah.
And I remember you said something like, "Oh, I met Lady Gaga. I can die now." Something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean that was insane. Like I remember we were chatting like this, and then after we were done, she got up and she was wearing a dress that was as big as this table, and so that sort of announced her appearance. Like we'd been kind of on the DL until then, and then all of a sudden, like all the paparazzi in the party saw her, and I remember thinking, "Damn it. Somebody get my phone. Like, I wish I had my phone for this." And I'm like, duh, Google yourself tomorrow. Like,
yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, of course, everyone did. It was on the front page of Variety.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was exciting.
So, do you find your approach to your craft has changed with the type of roles that you took? Like preparing for your one-woman show. Can we put the graphic back up again?
No. If you ask my neighbors, I'm still... Well, I wasn't living there at the time, but just like I prepared for my first 2 shows, I'm at home alone, hula hooping, reciting my lines endlessly. And yeah, that's my process.
Okay. Everyone has a different process, And,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure my neighbors think I'm insane, but...
Some people are sense memory where they're just the character 24/7, and then some people can leave it on the set and...
I mean, this is a little unique in that I am playing myself, and it is my story. So, I mean, I do, of course, I play some other characters, of course, but it's different than stand-up. It's much more theatrical, and it's not all funny. Most of it is. But I'm not afraid of the moments when it's not. In fact, those are my favorite parts.
Awesome.
I love to have the audience laughing, and then all of a sudden say something horribly shocking, and they're like, right. Record scratch, like, oh my God, I feel like a horrible person for laughing.
Wow.
That's my favorite part.
We're getting close to the end. If you have any wisdom that you could impart to anyone out there who's, trying to do their thing as a creative or an actor or an actress.
Well, don't have a plan B.
Okay.
Right? We already went through that. Yeah, I think you just have to love it. Like, and I do mean it, like the work.
Yes. Not the destination.
No, exactly, because there's no guarantees. You may I just want to go to the Emmys. Well, then BFC filler.
Right.
Like, there's easier, faster ways to do that. But you have to love the grind. You have to love hula hooping at home alone.
Right.
In preparation. Because I'd be doing that even with or without the success. And that's what's important.
I hear you. Well, thank you again, Naomi, for joining us. And thank you for joining us on another wonderful episode of Pan and Zoom. My name is Satie Gossett. Until then, keep on rolling.